Kelsey Kotzur,
Hello.
welcome to the pod. I'm so happy you're here, even though we literally went to dinner last night.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do this for so long. I also was like, I can't badger her to be like, let me on the pod, let me on the pod, let me on the pod.
No, but like the fates brought us together via Miriam. We share a trainer. We're making Miriam Freed the Aloe Gym of Greenpoint. Like literally brick by brick, we are building the Aloe Gym of Greenpoint.
Yes, we are. It's the It Girl training.
Who do we recruit next?
Well, we already got Caroline.
We already got Caroline.
Maybe
Steph Taylor?
Yeah, I think she went.
Okay.
I think she went. I don't know if she's still doing it, but I think she went.
And then maybe Tuffy. Who knows? You can be our in. Tuffy.
If you're there, come to training.
Like we can make this happen. I'm so happy you're here though, because we've been spending a little time together because, you know, like again, the Miriam of it all. Mm-hmm. We went to a Macy's event together.
Yes.
We did dinner last night, and somehow we're still gonna find things to talk about today because you have stories for days. Like I was so sat in the car on our way to the Macy's event, like asking you questions about your life. Oh, take a sippy. I'll take a sippy too.
Caffeinated queens.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I just told Kelsey, like, we went into a coffee shop before this, and I don't know what came over me. I've never ordered a chai latte in my fucking life. And I was like, I'll have a chai latte with oat milk, please.
You ordered it so confidently. I was like, okay.
As
You had a coffee in the car. So I was like, oh, I didn't realize you were going to do this.
1,000 times. Like, I just said it with so much conviction. It just, like, sounded like my usual order, but maybe it is now. Anywho, I want to dive into so many things. Like we're going to go from, you know, your content creator journey to your relationship to your wedding. Your wedding was so iconic. Like there's so many rabbit holes to go down there. But I want to start with like, who is Kelsey and how did we get to becoming a content creator? Like, did you always know that you wanted to do this? Like, give us like your origin story because I loved it.
The origin story is that I grew up in a very small town, upstate New York, and in this town, there's like very little creativity happening in terms of like, I don't want to say there's not art, but there is, but it's very stifled in this small town. So it's like you have a small community of people who are like-minded, and like then there's everyone else who are like hunting, doing outdoor sports, and that was just never my thing. My thing was always clothing and fashion. And I think it came from watching TV as a young kid and like movies and just like loving pop culture. And so when I went to college, I had no idea you could go for fashion. Like I just thought it was just something that happened to you because I was in this like super small town. No one ever talked to me about it. There were no people that I knew that were older than me that moved to New York City. Like no one. I didn't know anyone.
People weren't thinking outside the box.
No. And so I had this one school counselor who was like, why don't you go for fashion? And I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean I can go for fashion? Option? Yeah. And so I applied to a fashion school called Marist. It's not solely a fashion school. They just have a program. But I was also very poor growing up. And there was no way I was going to be able to afford it. I was like going to go to community college. If I got into a state school with a good scholarship, I would have gone. But this fashion program, there was no way I was going to afford it. And I was too scared to ask my parents to help me. So I, with her help, applied on my own with her and got this full ride to Marist. Yeah. It's not technically full ride, but it was the HEOP program. It's the Higher Education Opportunity Program.
No, I don't care. It's a full ride in my book.
I left school with like $11,000 of debt. And I think it was, at the time, maybe like $45,000 a year.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I went to this school, learned as much as I could. I'm also just like not a good student. Like college,
same.
I went for the vibes and for the fun.
Same. I failed out and then like got my way back in. So like you're safe
here. I had to do it a few extra semesters and like had to repeat courses, but had so much fun. And then interned in the city, moved to the city, and during that extra semester that I did, that's when Instagram was like really popping off. And I was so inspired by all these like bigger influencers, which they were just people on Instagram at the time. The like influencer was not a term. I didn't even know they were doing it full time.
Or like making money from it.
Right. And they were all in LA.
Yeah.
And so I moved to New York and I was like, okay, like I'm going to just try and do this. And I started booking with photographers and I would post on Instagram to literally no one and just like my college friends and high school friends and family. And then kept doing that for like 6 years while working corporate. And then when TikTok sort of became a thing, I had a video go viral and it changed my life overnight.
Can we talk about what that video is?
I love talking about what it is. Yes.
Which, by the way, I just also have to say, like, you putting yourself out there and like having the chutzpah to just go and like call a photographer and be like, let's shoot, like, and just acting the part. Like, it takes a certain type of person to just fucking go for it, because it's all fun and games.
Yeah.
Now that you have like all of these followers and are making money from it and have this career from it, but in the beginning,
to no one with no money,
and it's hard, and it can be like humbling and scary, and like that's what makes a lot of people not do it.
Yeah.
So good for you.
Thank you. And I was also like, looking back now, I probably, if I were my mom, even though I was not telling anyone I was doing anything, I was just like kind of going for it.
Right.
I would have been like, you're not going to meet this other person to take photos of you. Like, it was just so not a thing back then.
Right.
It was kind of dodgy. It was kind of weird. These people were, I don't know if they were professional or not. I don't really know what happened to them, but like I was fully meeting up with them at like 5 a.m. in Soho before work to take photos that no one would like.
But I'm so proud of you to even have that like gut instinct to be like, let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's get like professional about it. Like,
Yeah,
have
I'm
someone
like,
actually take photos
the
of me.
photographers are turning around while I'm ass naked in Soho, like
Changing
changing
outfits.
outfits, so I can make the most of this hour that I've scrounged up money to pay them for.
Before your corporate job, which we're gonna get to the
Which
viral
I was
video,
making like $35,000 a year.
but I feel like this is important to touch on. Like, what were you doing?
I was
corporate
working in
America?
wholesale. So I was working at this like dress company that was so toxic. And then I left that job and went to another toxic job in children's wear, wholesale, and then stayed there. And I quit that job, went to Amex for a year and a half. And then that was during the pandemic, and I quit that job because I was like, I'm done.
What were you doing at Amex?
Marketing.
Okay.
But I was not a good worker. Again, I was there for the
Amex is
vibes.
super corporate.
So corporate.
I get it. I was always the personality hire.
Exactly. I was just there to like make people laugh and feel good about themselves because
Same.
I couldn't even tell you what I was doing then.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me the most, like the tiniest jobs, and I could barely do that. I was like, what are you guys talking about?
I just didn't understand like the corporate
The jargon.
like, and just the like cross functionality
No.
of it all. I was just like, wait,
We'd
what?
go to a meeting and they'd be like, all right, meet in the war room. I'm like,
What's that?
what are you talking about?
Are we the troops?
No, literally, what are we talking about?
Like, we're enlisted.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know you were at Amex.
Mm-hmm.
I knew you had like kind of like toxic fashion jobs,
So-
because that's like, I feel like what every like fashion influencer like has to do to get
Yeah.
to becoming a fashion influencer.
Yeah.
Like, they have all of horror stories.
We would need like another like hour and a half to talk about the horror stories, but I basically came to this realization during the pandemic that like I just need to work for myself, because while yes, I did have toxic jobs, and like those are proven because many people were telling me like you're in a toxic relationship with your boss. I think also I was the problem in these situations because I just like didn't care
Yeah.
about being a good worker at this corporate job.
like, you just knew the space that you were in was not for you,
Not
and
for
there
me.
was no like growth or trajectory for you in
Yeah.
that specific environment.
right, like
which
I don't want to be there. They don't want me there.
Right.
So I'm just going to see myself out.
And I think a lot of people feel that way, but they're like, what are the other options?
Yeah.
And so it's hard to know, like, what am I supposed to do to get myself out of this situation or
Yeah.
get myself to where I want to be? I feel like we all watch and like see all these people just like, it feels like overnight become an entrepreneur and become your own
Right.
boss, which also, by the way, is not for everyone. Like, to like just be your own boss. Like, I struggle with that sometimes. And I'm
Right.
like, maybe I will go back to like working for someone else one day. And then I'm like, wait, I don't know if that's for me, but
Totally.
we like see it and we assume it happened overnight.
Yeah.
But really, it took a million small steps to get there.
1000%. And so when I left MX, I gave myself like a month, and then I applied for this really small PR job at this small PR firm. And I had a few other friends that had worked there, so I had an in, and I was getting paid like not a salary. This was basically like a part-time summer job. But I knew that I had saved money from the pandemic, and I wanted to give myself a shot of getting into the industry so that I could meet people and maybe help my case of being this content creator, whatever that looked like.
Right.
And then again, another toxic boss. Like it is me, but it's also them too. Like, I'm sorry.
No, there's a lot of bad actors out there.
I had a lot of toxic female bosses, and I feel like people don't talk about it enough.
It's real.
Because you want them to be like girl boss, and like I respect them for what they've done, but like it just so happens that I just got placed with a lot of bad apples.
Well, also, and they were probably raised in that environment under a lot of bad apples. So it's like almost like they're the problem, but they're the product of other problems that came before them.
Exactly. Like I can't blame them, but I also wasn't going to stick around to hang out.
Totally.
So when I left that job, I left because this is so, I mean.
By the way, what year is this?
This is 2020, end of 2020.
Okay.
So end of 2020, I leave that job. It's like Thanksgiving. And Biden had just signed this thing that was like, if your boss is telling you that you have to come in to work 5 days a week, which my boss was, you can quit and receive unemployment. And so
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And so I was lit. I went from making like no money to like making more money than I've ever made in a week at any corporate job with unemployment. And so I told myself, I was like, this is middle of November of 2020. So I said, I'm going to give myself until January. I'm going to push on TikTok, whatever that means. The reels were also a thing. I'm going to post as much as possible until January 1st. And then I'm going to start applying to jobs, because if I don't give myself this push, when will I ever have the time to do so? And so I'm posting on TikTok maybe like 10, 15 times a day. Like my room is a mess. When I tell you every sound I heard, I saved and made a video. Like I didn't leave my apartment for like a month and a half because all I did was post TikToks.
You were a machine.
A machine. And so this was also the time I was like 40 pounds heavier. I was trying to find my confidence. I was just trying to like make myself feel better about myself. And it definitely worked. Like posting those videos and getting positive feedback, my confidence was like sky high. No one could tell me anything. And so this is all happening, and then January 1st comes around, nothing. Like I'm not an internet star. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna apply to jobs.
Wait, I'm not a pop star. What the fuck?
I'm just a normal girl still. Like, I want to be somebody, but no one's seeing me. And I'm posting on Instagram. I'm like shooting film. I'm spending so much money on film. Like I'm just trying to do anything to separate myself from everyone else. And so I post this photo on Instagram. And I'm like, okay, no one's doing this like cool collage moment. So I'm going to post 4 photos. I've got this fisheye lens. I'm like feeling myself, right? I'm lit.
A creative baddie.
I'm a creative baddie. And so I post it, and then I'm still applying to jobs. That morning I had an interview with, I think like Home and Garden for their social media position or their travel social, whatever. And then the next day I go on Instagram, and a friend of mine had sent me a screenshot of Danielle Bernstein, and she had the same sweater that I had worn, the same 4 photos, the same kind of like funky poses. And I was like, bitch, what the fuck?
In the same order. Font, like literally
copy paste.
Like 4 squares in one photo.
Yes.
Same shirt. Same vibe.
Same everything.
It's
so obvious. And this was also around the time that she had been getting a lot of heat for copying like people of color and their businesses, and like taking their products, asking for gifting, and then like selling it as her own. And then a lot of stuff like that. I mean, if you guys know her, you know the lore. Like she's just very problematic. But so then I felt so defensive because I'm working my ass off, right? I'm like, how dare she? If she just said like, this girl is my inspiration, that she had like millions and millions of followers, that would have been so validating for me,
and so life-changing for you. And
yes,
it literally could have just been like inspired by like or just like even a tag with like no other context
in the comments, like literally recognize me in any way. I would have been happy with it. So I felt very on defense for myself, and I made a video about it
on TikTok.
And it might have been like 4 or 5 o'clock, because I was in the middle of filming a haul that I was gonna post to TikTok to no one's view, and posted it. I think within like an hour it had like 10,000 views.
And at this point, by the way, like you have like
I have maybe anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 followers, because I had a video go viral. I think I had like 17,000 views. And it was like me saying like all the places that I loved in Brooklyn. So people were like following me for that sort of thing. And so I had no followers. And I posted that video. Within an hour, it has like 10,000 views. So I'm like, oh my God.
Fame. Fame.
Kim Kardashian. I am Bella Hadid. So this is happening and I'm freaking out. And Jared, my husband, is like, I don't know if you should do this. Like, do you really want to be the person that calls people out? And I'm like, yes. It was so crazy because I was so sure of myself. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this. We go to bed later. I wake up that morning at like 6 a.m. because I'm so anxious. I'm like, wow, this video is doing so well, blah, blah, blah. I had 1.45 million views and I woke up to like 78,000 followers.
Which is
fucking nuts.
Insane. And does
Can I
not.
swear?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. It was fucking nuts. It was fucking nuts.
It is fucking insane. It does not happen anymore like that. Like that is a different time of. That is like peak TikTok algorithm of people just like blowing up overnight.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is like a life-changing situation to just wake up and have that many people now watching your videos.
It shook me to my core. It also, I think it was just it's such a blessing now looking back.
Honestly, thank you.
Because she copied me on Danielle. Instagram and I like said she copied me on Instagram, that all of those people that were following me on TikTok followed me on Instagram too. And so I woke up I think I maybe had like 11,000 followers on Instagram, and I woke up with like 39,000. And I was like, wait, I've been wanting this my whole life. Like, how does this happen to me overnight?
And it took just someone copying you and you not taking it laying down.
Yeah.
Which like I think there's like, you know, a fine line these days. Like I've been seeing some stuff on TikTok lately about like influencers calling out other influencers for like in quotes copying them for certain things, but it's not actually copying. Like if you went to the same place someone went to, you're not copying them. You're an influencer. You're supposed to have influence. Like I think it's a little 100%, crazy, you know?
100%.
This is like copy and paste plagiarism.
But it was also a different time.
Totally.
Where like this was, everyone still had individuality.
Right, like we weren't all the same person in a different fucking
we're all
font.
regurgitating the same sort of thing. And so that's why I felt so strongly about it. And it literally changed my life. Like, Danielle,
thank you so much.
I love you.
Like, thank you so
If you're listening, Danielle, I love you. Thank you for giving me my life.
That is fucking crazy.
So insane.
And life-changing.
Yeah.
What happens next? Like, you see this and then you're like, does that fuel you? And you're like, I'm going to keep going balls to the walls and posting 15 times a day? Or are you like, oh my God, wait, now I'm a little scared because there are all these people watching and suddenly all the eyeballs that I've wanted on me are like now actually on me and like I need to, you know, do something.
I felt so prepared for it because I had been doing it my entire like career of living in New York and like being a young adult. I had been posting and putting myself out there, just no one was seeing it. So I was ready for this moment. And when that happened, all of these, I used to DM brands like cold and be like, I'd love to work with you. Like, please just give me like a shirt and I'll do anything you say. Like,
I'll literally give you my firstborn child.
I will literally do anything for a free product. You don't even have to pay me. And so all of a sudden, all these brands that I had been DMing were in my DMs being like, we'd love to send you product. And I was like, no, I'm a superstar now.
No, dream come true.
Dream come true. Like, you guys were sleeping on me. And now
we're here. Now you've
we're
woken up.
Right. Hi.
Good morning.
And so we started, there were a lot of emails going back and forth and I had no representation. Like, I didn't have a manager. I didn't have anything. And around the same time, one of my really good girlfriends had just quit her job and was like going through this whole thing of like, what do I do next? And she worked in influencer marketing. And I was like, I need help. Like, this brand wants to work with me. They want to pay me $50.
Yeah, 50. And you're like, I don't know what to do. Is that a good rate?
$50. I'm like, but it's a free set of sheets. Should I work with them? And she was like, absolutely not. They're trying to capitalize on you.
She's like, CC me right now.
Yeah. And so we started working together and she's been my manager ever since. And now she's like a girl boss and I love her. So I feel like this situation like cultivated my career, but also her career and the career of all the girls, not because of this, but like now they all have management because of this situation.
Yeah, like she like has her whole own company, like, you know, as a talent manager.
The domino
and people
effect
under her.
of it all.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
That's also amazing that you knew her from before. And then like just by happenstance, like it
Well, we had
worked.
met each other maybe 6 months before. So it was all very like the stars were aligning.
Like the fates brought everyone together.
Yeah.
This is crazy. There are so many like directions that we can go from here. I do want to touch on your experience with management because we were talking about this in the car. Like I've talked to so many people who have bad experiences with management.
Yeah.
Like, and I know you and I are both in the same situation where this is like the only manager that we've worked with are the ones that we're working with today, and we've been very lucky. Like, you know, we're blessed.
Love you.
But what should people like look out for when it comes to representation, because so many people are getting taken advantage of, or they're getting like completely, they think they're, you know, their dreams are coming true and they're getting signed to this like big agency and then no one's paying attention to them and they like end up in a worse spot than before when they didn't
What
have
I would
representation.
suggest is doing a trial run. It's very common for agencies to offer a trial run, even if it's like 6 months, and just see how it goes. Don't sign a contract unless you have like full confidence that they're going to help you. I would also say like just being at a bigger agency isn't always the best because you are in a sea of people who are doing the same thing as you and you want to stand out. And if you have, say you're on like the micro mini level of creator and they also represent people with like millions and millions of followers, they're going to get priority over you, and that's unfair. So I would say the smaller the agency does not mean the worse.
No, it sometimes means better.
Yeah.
Like I remember when my manager reached out, I was like, oh, this isn't like the name of the management that I see in everyone's bio.
Yeah.
Like, because I didn't know anything about influencer marketing at the time because I was working in tech. But I was like, oh, this isn't like the one that I see in everyone's bio, but let me take the call because I don't know anything about this world. And honestly, it's been the best thing in the entire world that like this isn't, you know, the company that's representing everyone, because you get more one-on-one attention.
Yeah, you get FaceTime with them. It's like, hey, they know you. They know exactly what you want. Like my manager will be like, I don't think you're gonna like
You're
this.
not gonna like this.
And that's something too, like if I get presented a deal for X amount of money and it's a good paycheck for me and it's a good paycheck for her and she's still saying you shouldn't take this, that's how you know.
That's when
like,
you know.
I trust her with my life.
Yeah. Like someone's going to actually look out for your best interest and understand you, understand what resonates with your audience, and also like knows what's authentic and inauthentic to you.
Yeah.
Which is the best thing ever.
100%.
So you wake up, you have all these followers. Now you have a manager.
Yep.
You start making money.
Yep.
You mentioned before that you grew up in a different financial situation than the one that you are like currently creating for yourself.
Yes.
I want to know how your relationship with money has like changed and evolved now that you are making good money, like setting up a life for yourself. Like I remember we were talking about this last night. You were like, I told my guy at Fidelity, like, what do I need to do? Because like I want to build generational wealth. Like I want to figure this shit out. Like how has your relationship with money changed now that you're like making a lot of it?
So I think when it first happened and I was seeing these figures come through, I was like, wait, like I'm going to spend as much money as I can on myself, because I literally had nothing, guys. Like I know it might have looked like I had a lot, but I did not. I made the best out of what I had. And so with my biggest first paycheck, I bought myself a Gucci bag.
Good for you.
I was like, this is what I want. Like I'm a new one. All the things that I had before, I had a few used designer bags that I put on my credit card and was like still paying off. And then I paid off my my student loans, which wasn't a lot, thank God, but I paid that all off. And then I just like kept treating myself, and probably a little too much for like the first like 2 years, but I was like,
you're only human. And now you're like getting these like, you know, good paychecks coming in, and you're like, I deserve to reward myself.
Everything that I did was like for little Kelsey, who is like dying to be anywhere but her hometown and have like material things. I'm also a Capricorn. Like I love nice things. And so I was like, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to buy all these things for myself. But then after I got married, I was talking to my husband and I was like, we need to be more financially responsible. I have this money. I need to put it somewhere. And so he really spearheaded the whole Fidelity investment, put it in a SEP IRA. Like we're freelancers. We don't have retirement accounts. Like we have to do that all on our own. And I was so lost in the sauce. And so he's really taking control of that. Thank God. And I do want to have a life where my kids don't have to worry about anything. Like anything at all. Because I was shopping secondhand and like going to food banks and taking from my older cousins and like having things given to me. And I just like, you always want better for your kids. And like, that's what I want for my children.
I love you.
I love you.
Like, I'm really proud of you. Like, it takes, again, in the beginning, like, it takes a lot to put yourself out there. And then once you've like, again, all fun and games when you're like acting like an influencer, and then, you know, you like you have an audience of no one, but now you have an audience of like everyone, you're making good money, and it's kind of easy to get like lost in the sauce of it all.
Totally.
And not have a good head on your shoulders and not have any like just vision of the future or the life that you want. You're just like every day by every day, paycheck by paycheck, like let's just blow it on like stupid things. And like for you to actually like take a step back and be like, okay, I kind of want to work smarter with my money so that I can set myself up for success and my kids up for success. Like that's...
I also think like because I worked in corporate for so long and had to manage my money because I was making no money. Like when I left my full-time job, I think I was making $55 a year. Which is really not a lot when you're living in New York City. No,
it's like really hard to live on that.
Yeah, and so I had to manage my money, and I think it all comes from that. Like I'm no stranger to rationing out my paycheck and trying to save for like a weekend out or like a new dress or whatever. So I think working corporate, while it was so taxing mentally, it really set me up for a lot of great things in my life now as a freelancer.
I like feel like everyone should, you know, go on their own journey, of course, but I would encourage everyone, like especially these younger generations who just go to college and then they like want like their job after college to be like an influencer.
Yeah.
I totally get that, especially given like the time that we're in and like the way that they've grown up. We obviously got like Instagram in like junior year of high school, you know what I mean? So it's very different for them, but I think everyone should have to go work some sort of corporate job where you are working for someone else. You can like learn business acumen, learn like the ABCs of business, how to be professional, how to conduct yourself, how to like write an email, how to professionally follow up with someone. Like those are the skills that are now serving me in this new world. And like
also having coworkers
and learning how to like interact with people that you don't necessarily like, or finding solace in the people at work that you do like. Like there's so many benefits to starting off and like working a normal job. Like everyone thinks it's like this like status symbol, like to just like be an influencer or work for yourself or like start a business. Like it's totally okay to like have like a normal job. Like that's
so
fine
too. So fine. And like the girls that are influencers and have full-time jobs, like
I'm obsessed.
You're a superhero.
No, I'm obsessed.
Because I did it for so long with no success. So like I can't imagine if I actually had to shoot campaigns and like had deadlines and like had events that I was going to while working a full-time job. Like I was just doing it as like a side hustle. I didn't have to do it every day.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine having to do it every day, like 2 full-time jobs at the same time.
Yep.
God bless you.
I love the girlies who are doing the content like in conjunction with their real job. Honestly, if I was still working at Salesforce when I started making TikToks, I think that I would probably still be working a corporate job. I just like wasn't in a corporate job that I liked.
Yeah.
When I started doing this. Yeah. So it like made it an easier out for me to make the decision to like not have to do that all the time. But I mean, it does like it has a lot of perks, like to just be able to like,
health insurance?
TBT. I mean, I married into health insurance recently, so like that's nice. But like, go get those benefits, girls.
Stay
and, like,
as long as you can.
And taxes, oh my God.
It's not fun.
It's really not fun.
No.
It's also that time is coming up where like Andy's like, where's all of your paperwork? But anywho, speaking of husbands, I want to talk a little bit about like the like progression of your relationship because you are in this very like small elite club of people who got engaged and then called off their engagement, but then got re-engaged and then married and are now happily married to that same person. Like I don't know anyone else who has that same story. Like
I don't think I do either.
No, like there's probably people out there, but I don't know them personally.
Right.
So whatever you're comfortable sharing, I would love to hear like how that came to be, because I'm obsessed with when I meet someone. I told you last night, when I meet someone who called off their engagement. Again, I don't know anyone else who made it their way back to that same person and then married them. But when I meet someone who called off their engagement or got a divorce young, I'm immediately like, I see you. I like you. Yeah. I love you because you don't put up with shit.
Yeah.
You don't settle.
Yeah.
You know your worth. Mm-hmm. You know when you deserve more. You know when to step away and you know how to do hard things. And I'm obsessed with that.
Yes.
So that's why I knew. I was like, green flags.
Yes. So Jared and I met in college. We were neighbors, and we had a very like hot and heavy romance very quickly. Something about me and him too, we're like 0 or 100 people. Like I either like don't fuck with you or I'm obsessed with you and I want the best for you and I think about you night and day. So we had a very serious relationship very quickly, very early on. We were in college together, all of junior year, all of senior year, and the extra bits that we did. And then we broke up right after college because I wanted to move to New York and he wasn't sure. Classic situation. Like classic, like 21, 22, like what do we do?
So young.
So young. And so we were broken up for, I don't know, like 6 months, maybe less, like 5 or 6 months before he moved to New York. And I was like, I'm coming. And I was like, okay, great. We can be together now. And so then from there on, we didn't live with each other for the next like 2 years. I lived with girlfriends and then we moved in together 2019. But we had lived together in college. So like it wasn't.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. We lived together all of our senior year.
Oh my God.
I know. I told you, I was like 0 or 100.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so it was like not a big deal whatsoever. And I was staying there so much. He was staying at my apartment so much. It was just so much easier. We get 2019, we get our apartment in Dumbo, and then the pandemic happens because we also moved in, I think it was like July 2020 or 2019, and then the pandemic hit in March. So we go through all of the pandemic together at his parents' house with his 5 younger siblings, and it was fine. Like literally nothing happened. Like we both gained a lot of weight and like were sort of mentally unwell in our own ways.
As so many people were during the pandemic, like
as everyone was. And so, but we were solid. Like our relation, we never fought. We've always been best friends.
Yeah.
And so after the pandemic, we moved back to Brooklyn. I'm blowing up on TikTok. This is all simultaneously happening. And I'm blowing up on TikTok. I'm getting everything I wanted, but he's not feeling fulfilled mentally. And I think he was going through a lot of things. And he wanted to move to LA. And I didn't. I was like, everything is happening so perfectly for me here. I can't do this. And I blew up in TikTok. We got engaged in August. Okay. So let me jump backwards. Blew up on TikTok on February of 2021. August 2021, we get engaged. And I'm so vocal on TikTok. I'm like, guys, my new followers, like I'm engaged, like woo, wedding season. So then the following January, after that, August to January, we're engaged, whatever. He wants to move to LA, and I'm like, I'm not fucking going.
Right.
I'm
like
sorry.
like everything is happening and lining up for me perfectly here.
I'm like, our friends are here. I'm here. My life is here. My manager is now here. I'm like finally someone that I've always wanted to be. And he just needed something different. And I cannot fault him for that because we had just gone it was the winter time, out of the pandemic, mentally not doing well, needed a change, needed something to like pick him back up.
And feel like he had like autonomy. Like I feel like a lot of people felt like they lost autonomy over their lives.
Yeah.
And like that's also hard just in general when like everything is working out so amazing for your partner and you're so happy for them. But like you're like, who am I and what do I want?
So true. And we were both like
and young.
So young. We were 26. We had just turned 26. Yeah. So all this to say, there was no fighting really. Like he went to LA and I didn't want to do any like long distance. I was like, we were engaged. Like, I don't want to do this. And so I called off the engagement in like February. And I was like, if this is really what you need, do it. Because I can't, I don't want to leave. And I'm just telling you that now. Like, I love you. This has nothing to do with how much I love you. But like, I don't want to be a part of this. Because the back and forth of like, are you moving to LA with me and are you not is killing me.
Right.
And so classic story, like if you love them, set them free.
And if you find your way back to each other,
it's meant to be. You know what I mean? So he went to LA, found that it's not all rainbows and sunshine and
a lot of traffic.
A lot of bad faith actors.
Yep.
And so when that happened, I obviously was devastated. Like, I just called off my engagement. I'm so embarrassed because I've been talking about it on TikTok for so much. And this is the love of my life. Like, my life is in shambles. Mm-hmm. And so I took that next summer of 2022 and I was like, I'm about to level up. Like, I feel it in my bones. Like, this is my time. This is my time. And like, I knew it in my heart that we would get back together. It was just something like I knew our story wasn't over. Mm-hmm. But I was like, if I don't take this time, I'll never have this time by myself ever again. Because I don't want this time by myself. But like, I've been given this chance to like have this slay summer.
Like, I'm locked in on Kelsey.
On me.
Yes.
And so I went to Europe for like 2.5, I would say like closer to 3 months, broken up. Like, I went back and forth a lot.
A dream.
Yeah, and I did a lot of solo traveling and I found myself, I found my confidence. Before that, I'd spent every night for the past like 7 years with this person. I never slept in a hotel by myself.
Yeah.
I'm in hotels, I'm taking trains, I'm literally not speaking to a single person.
You're in your independence era.
I'm in my eat, pray, love era for sure. And I'm literally finding myself. It was so transformative. And in the moment, while yes, like I did cry myself to sleep all the time and like I was so sad and like mentally not doing well, I was also doing mentally the best.
That's the not glamorous side though of like figuring your shit out as an individual. Like the crying yourself to sleep, kind of mandatory.
Yeah, and like I was having the best time of my life while also being so depressed. Like, weird vibes, but like needed to happen.
Yes. The juxtaposition of the two, like it's almost like people are like, wait, like that's confusing. Like,
it's
how can
big? Like, I can do it with a broken heart energy.
Yes. It's very important.
So important. So I'm having this slay summer. I'm like finding my independence, which I had always been independent, but always had him beside me. So it's like, you're my security blanket. And then I just like didn't need anyone. By the fall, I was like, I don't fucking need anyone.
No,
I could be a spinster forever and live a slay life.
And that is like the most powerful, scary thing. When a person realizes they don't fucking need anyone.
Yeah.
And that's also when everything falls into place.
Literally what I was just about to say. Like, I came to this like aha moment of like, I don't need anyone. I don't need anyone. I'm so happy. I'm spending so much time with my girlfriends. I'm like traveling. I'm doing all the things that I've always wanted to do. I don't need anyone. I'm so happy with myself, with me.
Kelsey.
And then literally like 2 days later, he texted me. And we had been no contact for all this time because I was like, I'm not doing that. I can't do the will we, won't we.
Yeah, one foot in, one foot out.
Again, 0 or 100. Yep. And so then I felt obligated to respond. I was like, okay, wait, how are you doing?
Yeah, like this person was in your life for so long. Like, to go no contact also is like so impressive. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that.
It was so hard.
You both needed it so much.
Yes, we both needed time alone, I think, to figure out who the fuck we were. Like, we were so young when we got together, and then we spent so much time together. Our friend groups were intertwined, our families, obviously. We had this 2 years of like nonstop contact with each other from the pandemic. We were not leaving our houses. It was like a mentally fucked up time.
Yeah.
And so had we not had this breakup, we would still be together. I think we would still be happy, but I think we would have like unresolved things that we would have to talk about.
Like as individuals and as a couple.
We probably would have been in like therapy.
Yeah.
For sure. So we got back together and then I kept him secret for like 3 months because I was so scared about the internet finding out. I was petrified because everyone was so on my side, obviously because they love me, but like I never said anything about him. I never
negatively
bashed him. I never even made dating content. I never talked about another boy. Like, I've left it all about me and like my journey. And I think people were rooting for me so hard because I had just left this relationship that they, of course, like made up things in their own mind about us like cheating on each other or like whatever. Like, none of that happened. But because they were rooting for me being the single girl, when I got back together with him, like, people hated me so much.
What?
Oh my God, I got so much hate.
Oh, because it's not the story that they wanted it to be in their head where you like met someone. Because people can't handle when the plot doesn't go the way that they wanted it to go.
Yeah. And so I kept him secret for 3 months because I was so petrified of people finding out. I was like, I don't know how to navigate this, but like, we're gonna figure it out.
When you got back together, did you get back together as boyfriend, girlfriend, or
boyfriend, girlfriend?
Fiance?
Boyfriend, girlfriend. And so it was kind of iconic. I made this video, you know that Drake song, like, girl, you know I'm back with you know who. I said I'm always back with you know who.
God.
Like I made a video to that song.
That's the perfect audio.
And then that's when like the hate came. And I got a lot of hate and heat up until we got re-engaged.
Okay.
Which was like the next like 6 months.
That's like a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
But also like at that point, I hope that you were in the headspace of like, they don't actually know me. Like,
no, they don't know me. And like that was around the time that I was still like self-harming and like reading the Reddit thread.
Yeah, it's tough to imagine a group chat going off about you where people are talking shit about you and you can see it at any time. That's what Reddit is for influencers.
Oh my God, I lost an earring. That's okay.
I'll
take the other one out. And so I was reading the Reddit thread and a lot of it was like, oh, well, she got fat again, so that's why she went back to him.
I will kill them.
No, literally. I was like, oh, okay, I think it's time for me to stop reading this. And so I think people were preying on my downfall for a long time until I got engaged. And then everyone was like, wait, exciting, wedding content.
Right, like this is like serious.
Yeah.
And you know it's real because you called it off the first time, like you're like, you think I'm going to just, throw in the towel now and just like settle like for whoever? No.
Yeah.
It's hard to call off an engagement, even harder to like decide that this is actually the right person for you.
Yeah.
Take the space that you both need as individuals because you grew up together. Like, you need some time to like figure out who you are.
And I was trying to explain this. Like, I told them it wasn't like a hard launch. It was a rebrand. Like we were rebranding. And people were like, that is so pathetic. Like, stand up, girl. Like, he hates you, or like, you shouldn't be with him. And I was like,
Wait, are you guys okay?
You don't know the work that we put in to get here. You think it was just like, okay, we'll be back together. No, there were a lot of really hard conversations and like a lot of tears, a lot of like hard realizations we had to come through.
No, I mean, the parasocial relationships sometimes, like, I love everyone, but they go too far sometimes.
I was trying to say, like, talk to your grandparents that have been together for X amount of years. Like, you're telling me they haven't gone through hardships and wanted to kill each other at some point? Get real. They're an everlasting love because of this.
Exactly. People are not okay.
Look at the Notebook. My God.
Look at the fucking Notebook.
Everyone's like, oh, Allie and Noah, their goals. I'm like, they fucking broke up and she was engaged to another man.
Right. And also, like, in the beginning, like, it wasn't going to work. It was toxic as fuck.
Toxic, young. Yeah.
You're so real for that. Let's do some, like wedding chat. Like, obviously we were talking to Caroline last night. We were like, CC us on your fucking emails. Like, get us involved.
We will do anything for you.
Which, like, I am not like a wedding expert. I only like know like a thing or two just from observing like my wedding planner. Did you fully plan your whole wedding?
Plan the whole wedding by myself. I had a coordinator for 6 weeks out to kind of like just get all of the vendors on the same page and get them to where they needed to be because like I couldn't have done that the day of.
It's too much.
So she was a saving grace at the last month and a half, but I planned everything else myself.
Slay. Like, honestly, you're an icon. Like, that is...
It was so fun.
I know you had fun with it, but like that's crazy that you even were able to like have fun with it because it's so stressful.
I know.
Where should someone start? Like, what's your POV on where to start?
My POV is you have to make a baseline guest list. You cannot do anything without knowing how many people you're inviting. And like, you might think to yourself like, oh, I'm going to invite 200 people. 200 people is a lot of fucking people.
A lot of fucking asses and seats.
You need to be able to like write those names down. Be like, show me the 200 people you want to invite and then we'll go from there. Because I guarantee you it's going to be a smaller list than you actually think. And then you have to buffer in like 10 to 20 people for like plus ones or whatever, your family, friends. And then I would go from there because if you are looking for a venue and you fall in love with a venue that only holds 100 and you're inviting 250,
that sucks.
That sucks for you. Like you set yourself backwards. So that's where I would do guest list, then venue, and then photographer.
Yes. I think guest list, date.
Yep.
Also like budget conversation. Like everyone's in a different situation, which by the way, guys, if you can hear the construction in the background, I'm sorry. These are just like the joys of New York City.
Yeah.
Concrete jungle. I think, yes, guest list, venue and date. And then you also need to talk about like budget and like you comped like most of your wedding, which is like also.
I paid for like 75% of it.
Which is, again, so iconic.
So grateful for the help that Jared's parents gave us. But we went in with not really like expecting anything, because I had this like standard of my second engagement, my wedding, like I'm actually fucking doing it this time.
Right, like we're getting married.
And like the fact that I had started viewing my wedding and like seeing like what I wanted, I was like very like bare bones the first time of what I expected my wedding to look like. So this time I was like, I'm going all out. I'm going all out because now I have money. I have like I can do it myself. So I wasn't expecting any help from his parents. Like, so grateful for them, and like obviously I would have paid for it myself. So like I'm very grateful for what they did. But I had a high standard for what I wanted, and I was like, I'm not going to settle for anything.
Right. So and you're like, I can pay for it.
If it's expensive, it's going to be expensive.
I'm obsessed with like you just knowing. You're like, I got this.
Yeah. And it was I mean, I've never said this out loud, but it was like a $200,000 wedding.
And you did that shit yourself.
Yeah.
With your silly little TikTok money.
Little TikTok money.
High five. Honestly, like that is, and I told you last night, my wedding was like around the same.
Yeah.
I did not pay for it.
Yeah.
I don't think that I would have like paid for it if I had to, because I like, didn't want it that badly.
Yeah.
I so respect your transparency and you sharing that information, because it's honestly, it's such a fucking flex. Like, I would be telling every single person I come into contact with, like, I paid for my wedding and this is how much it cost. I just don't think that I would have wanted it that badly.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, we are going balls to the walls.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I want, and no one is going to tell me no, so it's going to come from my fucking pocket.
Yeah, like, I fine. That was the same thing with my bachelorette. Like, I didn't want to go to Miami. I didn't want to go to Arizona. I wanted to go to Mexico. I wanted to go to an all-inclusive resort. So I can't expect all of my friends who I want so desperately to be there to pay for it. So, girls, it's on me. I'm paying for this, so you can come celebrate me in the way that I want to be celebrated. That is in the place that I want to be celebrated.
That is amazing. And the bachelorette conversation, like we could do a part 2, part 3, part 4, if we, like just on 100%, weddings, 100%. Because there's so much financial entanglement that comes with the weddings, and like being a bridesmaid and being involved and going to the bachelorette and then like staying the night at the hotel. It's actually like, it's so crazy. Like, I have to start actually like saying no to weddings because it's just too much.
It's a lot. And like, I knew that I wanted to help them as much as possible because I am in this position. I'm so blessed to have the position that I have, and like the audience and like the partnerships and the opportunities. So I knew, I was like, all right, I'll pay for the bachelorette, and I'm paying for their house that they're going to stay in, and I'm going to get them their dresses, and I'm going to make sure that I can do as much for them because they're just as much as a part of this journey as I was. Like, they all had to deal with me when I was breaking off my engagement. Mm-hmm. So like, girls, this is all for us. This is all for us.
They're real ones. We rewarded them.
Yeah.
I also think like, just like as an observation, I feel like, again, like back to like your relationship with money, I feel like a love language for you now is like being able to 1000%. Be generous with the people who you love, and like being able to give them things that you were not necessarily given.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's probably like healing parts of your inner child, but it's also so amazing because you could just, you know, be stingy and like keep it all
100%.
For yourself, and that would be like fine too. But
100%.
Just the fact that that's like the way that you want to express your love right now is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, because it's like, as a kid, I remember my friends' parents like taking me on vacation and being like, wow, I would never have experienced this had this not been for my friends' parents. And not to say like my friends couldn't pay for their own vacations. I was just like so happy that I was able to do that for them.
Right. And like give something.
Yeah. Like they could have
like,
done
that was fun for you. Like I can see it on your face. Like you were like,
it.
Fuck, I had to do this. Like, no, like, you literally wanted to from the bottom of your heart.
Oh yeah. It was like a no-brainer. No-brainer.
I love that so much.
Yeah, it was really great.
Let's do like some like rapid fire, like what is a general piece of advice you have for brides? Like that's not necessarily like your standard thing, like just like even like a mindset shift for your wedding.
This may be unpopular, but go dress shopping alone.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't have anyone at any appointments, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience because like I love you, friends and family, but like I don't want your opinion. And
then it gives you the space to actually be able to look in the mirror and think like, do I actually like this, or is someone else telling me that this is beautiful?
Yeah.
Or is someone else telling me that this isn't beautiful, but I actually like it?
Yeah.
I went to one appointment with my sister and my mom just to like give them the experience. Yeah. And then I went to the rest of like the exploring alone. Yeah. And it was the best thing ever. It's also like my biggest piece of advice is go alone, even if it's just to one.
Just to one.
And you're like deciding on the dress.
Because like the minute you pull out like a big poofy dress you're like intrigued over, they're like, oh, that's so not you. And it's like, what if it is me?
Right.
Because everyone says like you have this picture of in your head of what your wedding dress is going to look like, and then you choose the opposite. So like had they talked you out of the opposite, you would have never found your dream dress.
100% agree. What is like a piece of advice you wish someone told you before wedding planning?
Ooh, that like people are going to say no to going to your wedding, and you have to like kind of be prepared for that.
100%.
Yeah, because I was not.
No, like, and
it's like, wait, you don't want to come? Why? Not that you don't want to, but like you can't. Or like you can't make it work.
Right, like you have something else going on.
No,
that's so crazy. No, it's true. Like you have to accept that like some people aren't going to be there, and it will also like be okay.
Yes.
And like even like just like you have to like surrender like a lot of control.
Yeah, and
to the elements and life.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
It's inevitable. Mm-hmm. What is like some of your advice for aspiring content creators? Just
post. Like just literally throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And you'll find your groove and like what you feel good posting about and like what you don't, and like what you feel confident doing and what you don't. And then it's like a skill. It's like a muscle. You have to work at it. You're not going to be a great public speaker to your camera or to anyone else overnight.
100%.
You just have to practice. Even if it's like you're posting videos on private and like no one's ever seeing it, just try.
100% agree. Yeah. And perfection is the enemy of done. Like if you are waiting to make every single thing perfect or have like the perfect tripod or the perfect lighting.
Done is better than perfect.
1000%. Yeah. And then I try to ask people this, but I like never really remember. So I only remember like 50% of the time, but I'm remembering now. This podcast is called A Very Nice Day with Kelly Grace May.
Yes, it is.
What are some things that make a day for you a very nice day?
I love going on a nice long walk. It's like something I prioritize every single day with my husband. We're constantly like, want to go for a walk, want to get outside. Like walking around really makes my day a lot better, because a lot of the times I'm talking to myself in my bedroom and I'm not doing a lot. And so getting outside really helps. Just like breathing fresh air, as fresh as it can be in Brooklyn.
No, it's actually kind of crazy like what a walk will do for the soul and the mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was so fun. We're gonna have to do another episode.
We have so much more to talk about.
We have to sit down with Caroline.
I never talked about Caroline being my content creator at the wedding. Oh no!
Wait, let's give her a little shout out because she fucking crushed it.
Okay, listen, guys. If you are looking for a wedding content creator, I'm just gonna pitch her real quick.
Pitch her right now.
She came to my wedding. She stayed with my bridesmaids. She became friends with everyone. She is such an easy, lovely girl to put in a group. Like she can get along with the wall. Like she's so amazing. And so if you need someone to take videos for you, and whether or not you're posting them to the internet, you need someone there with an iPhone who is solely there to capture behind the scenes. Because while yes, we had a content list of like all the trends that I wanted to do, and
that was what I was going to ask you. This is my job. I forgot to ask you.
We had an Excel sheet, and so we met multiple times. I mean, once was pre her engagement, which we could talk about a million times over. But like, I had this expectation in this Google Doc that I wanted to complete. And she fucking crushed it. She literally crushed it. She was doing things that like I didn't even have to ask her to do. She was just
anticipating needs.
Incredible. Like by the time, like if you guys watch my content, I had this like High School Musical sound that had to have all of my bridesmaids in it. By the time it was my turn, 6 of them were done. I was like, wait, when were you doing this? And she was like, you're just eating lunch. And I'm like, wait, I'm so hands off. This is fucking amazing. I didn't have my phone the entire weekend. She captured moments behind the scenes that I never would have even thought to be important. Like my grandma and Jared's grandma meeting, like I didn't even know that she was recording that. It was like a lovely moment. All these little tiny moments that I have thousands of photos and images and videos on my phone is all thanks to her. Every single thing of content that you saw from me is because of Caroline. And she fucking crushed it. I would have paid her $1 million for what, had I known what she was giving me on my wedding day, which is peace of mind and like hands off. As a content creator, I'm so hands on. I would have paid her $1 million.
She's incredible. No. She was born for this job.
Yes.
I am obsessed with her. Also, like The energy that she brings to every room is immaculate.
Yes.
Like she gets the vibes.
Yes.
She'll match her energy to whatever's going on.
She's a girl's girl. She's going to look out for you. She's going to tuck your bra strap in. She's going to make sure that you don't have anything on your teeth. She's going to look out for you.
She's a real one. So we have to give a shout out to Caroline. We'll like link her, content creator.
Captured by Caro.
Captured by Caro. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. That was a perfect note to end on.
Yeah, I think so too.
I love you. You're the best.
I love you.
Yay. That was so fun.